Hi, thank you for tuning in today. I'm excited to be here to share a message with you. As always, I love being able to come here each and every week to share a message, a word of encouragement, to let you know that Farmdale's praying for you, that we care about you, and that we're here and we want to help meet a need in any way that we can for you. And it's just been a privilege to be able to do this for my own growth and for getting to know people on another level because of this ministry. It's just been rewarding in that, and I'm so glad that I get to do it. So thank you so much for tuning in. Today I want to speak from Proverbs 16:9, and that is, a man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his feet. We all have our own plans, our way of going about things, and our own thoughts about it. And it can be a little concerning, frustrating, confusing, and even disheartening when plans change. And I know for me personally, I'm a person that loves a good plan, and when things don't go as planned, it can send me into a whirlwind of emotions. And that is something that I'm constantly working on, constantly praying about to be more flexible. One of the ladies that I go to church with, whenever we go on work and witness trips, she always says at the beginning of the trip, "Blessed are the flexible, blessed are the flexible." I believe that 100%, because does it make a world of difference when you can just sit back and remind yourself of that. And that's something that I do have to remind myself of, and I remind myself of it often. So Karen, if you're watching this, thank you for that. And I wanted to share some stories with you about changes of plans that did send me into a whirlwind of emotions. But at the end, there were lessons from it and reasons why that I understood coming out of those situations. And the first one I want to share is right when COVID happened. So COVID was such an interesting time, and when the world went on this sort of lockdown, my job was not missed by that. So I work in a dental office, and we were told that we can't go back to work tomorrow and we can only see patients on an emergency basis. So for me, my position in the office didn't require me to come in, so I was off. And I was off for probably about 2-3 months. And going into that, I was scared of what that meant, and it did throw a wrench into my everyday plan. So, you get up, you go to work, you do the things, and you go home. That was the schedule, and Monday through Friday, that's what I did. I got up and went to work. And I hadn't been on a schedule that just required me to stay at home since I was in school. So it was a little strange to be thrown back into that situation and not go to work every day. And thankfully I did live at home, so I was able to not worry so much, and that wasn't everybody's situation. So how crazy was that time to have to navigate that? And I imagine for all people it wasn't just as easy as it was for mine. So I'm 100% grateful that I was still at home when that happened. But because that did throw a wrench in my plans, I was in a place that was open, but I didn't know that I was open for change. So working at this place, I worked there simply because I needed a paycheck. And a lot of people are in similar places to that. You go to work because you need a paycheck. But I didn't love the place that I worked. I actually was dealing with a lot mentally because of that place and certain people that I work with that caused a lot of issues for me. And while I was super, super nervous about and kind of going a little insane about just being told that I can't go to work, at the end of that time, I still worked there. At the end of COVID, I went back to work, and I just felt dread the whole way there that I hadn't felt for those 2.5 to 3 months that I was off. I didn't feel dread. And I definitely didn't feel, and I hadn't felt joy in that environment for a very long time. And it was while I was driving there, and even after when I was driving home, that I realized that place was no longer the place that I needed to be. So here are things still changing. I think I'm going back to work. I'm experiencing this dread that I hadn't felt in a while because I'd been off. And here I am going back to this place because I need a paycheck. And then I feel a crazy amount of unrest in it and going back. And then the door opened to go back to the office where I started my externship. They asked me if I wanted a position. I didn't hesitate. I said yes. Really scared of what that looks like and what that meant for me, because it was a change, because it was a place that I wasn't necessarily used to working at, like in that capacity. But I took it. And I wasn't 100% aware of what the benefits of doing so, of just being obedient, listening to my heart and where it's telling me to go. But I left that place and I could feel joy coming back. That's what it feels like when man has a plan. So I just went to work. I wasn't being obedient to anything other than the fact that I just needed a paycheck. So I'm just focused on bringing money in. And I felt dread, and I was in a place mentally that wasn't great, and I didn't feel any ounce of joy that came from that. But here I am going to a new place. I'm able to feel joy and not dread, and it opens up more time in my life so I can focus a little bit more on church and things of that nature, of what I want it to get into and where I want it to move forward with. And that opens doors to many, many other things. But my plan was just at that time focused on money. But it kept me stuck in dread and not able to experience any kind of joy. And a mental jail is where it kept me. And that's what happens when we follow our own plan and don't let the Lord direct our feet. And then the second story is when we were planning our trip for Africa on the last Work and Witness trip that I went to. And we had an initial plan of where we were going and how we were getting there plane-wise. And a few months before we left, the plans changed, and we ended up having to stay a night in Dar es Salaam. And initially, while that sounded like we're going to get one less day, that's another day we're going to spend traveling, and we have to stay, and that seems like kind of a bummer at first. And we go, and there's nothing you could do about it. You know, you have to, that's the plan, and that's what we have to do. And as Karen says, blessed are the flexible. So here we are having to be flexible, and we were blessed because of it. So we get to Dar es Salaam, and we meet a man named Gift and his wife and his kid, his child, and we were blessed by meeting them. And we got to not only get to know them and get to know and talk to them about their life and the things that they do, we also got to explore Dar es Salaam a little bit, which we wouldn't have been able to had we just had the initial plan and went straight on to where we were supposed to go. And it was a blessing to be able to get to know Gift and his family. It was also a blessing to how much we just needed rest that day. 24 hours of traveling is quite crazy, and for me, I didn't sleep at all on the way there, and my brain, by the time that was over, was done and ready to go to bed. And the fact that we got to do so there that night was just a gift, and Gift and his family were a gift. And that's why I felt called to share that story, because that's kind of what God does. You know, we planned the route and we worked it, but God had other plans. He directed our path, and because we were obedient, because we didn't fight it, we just went with it and we accepted it. We went there, and there were blessings that came from it. And now we know Gift and his family, and who knows what can happen because of that in the future. And it'll be a blessing for sure, whatever God does with that. And it was a blessing then. And so my encouragement for you is that when plans change, when your plan changes, the plan that you create for yourself, when it changes, because the Lord is directing your feet, while it might be confusing at first, while it might be concerning, there will be blessings that come from it. You might not see it initially, But you have to trust and have faith that He's directing your path and that He will do and He is doing something with it. And one day, at the end of it, you will be able to look back and it'll be a part of your story. And you will be able to see how God used you in the midst of it. So try, and this is for me, I'm speaking to myself. Remember that the blessed are flexible, and that God is doing something with you and on your path, and that He is constantly working. And it is stressful, and life will be stressful, and that following, like they always say, that being a follower doesn't mean that life's road's going to be easy, but that God's going to be with you through it. And you just have to believe, have faith that He's got this, and He does. And as always, we're praying for you. And if you have any questions, or if you need somebody to pray with you, please feel free to reach out. And if you could join us in person, we'd love to have you. We have services on Sunday and on Wednesday. And if not, as always, we'll see you here next week. Thanks. Bye.